1 2 1 2. Same mirror mirror mirror. 1 2 1 2. Oh, that's a lot further actually. This is a lot further away from this hunt. Oh. Okay, 1 2 3 1 2. This map's such an annoying map. That's 3 nearby herdable months. That's 1 2. Is this really closer to the town centre than that? I don't think it is. We could be fighting here all over the day. What about the gold mines? Gold mines are absolutely balanced. Probably again favouring Oliveza. You know what, guys? You know what? I'll take this because the hunts can move around. Both players got 2 nearby. They can hunt. This can be herded indefinitely. You know what? We could be here all day. Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harrison. Back for another Age of Empires 3 series for you today. This is the EPL week number 2 between the New World Challengers, represented by Stanley Winston, against Oliveza, who's playing for the Hudson Bay Bigs. Oliveza choosing to go into game number 1 here as the British civilization. Will be spawning into the right-hand side of the map as the colour blue. Stanley Winston will be spawning on the left-hand side of the map, playing as the French in the colour red. And let's see what's been going on so far this game. We do see Stanley Winston picking up a native scout among some other small treasures. Is currently working himself on a 135 experience treasure. We did see both players go for an early market. Very nice for both players. Appeared to be. I did actually miss it, but probably just a food crate start, maybe coin actually. I think it's coin straight, so you had the market and buy the wood for the house, but no trading post for either player so far. And Stanley Winston's working on 135 XP really early on in the game. This is going to be really nice for Stanley, especially in the early second age. Should be able to get his first shipment in second age and the second one back to back. Oliveza walking past this native treasure, which is already picked up. Native Tomahawk ready to fight by his side, and he's trying to scout the map for some extra treasures as well, and comes across 70 food. But Stanley Winston's nearby, and we may have a treasure extension, but no, Stanley's backing off, and that's slight indecision there. He may not be looking at that point, and it's cost the treasure contention worth for 70 food, but this Iroquois Tomahawk, quite strong, even getting to the snare with a full hand attack versus Explorers in Age 1. If the snare comes down, this Explorer is kind of trapped. We got another Explorer here from Oliveza, more HP, and in the range attack. This Native Scout is trying its best to catch up, but okay, he's now actually drawing the fire from Oliveza's Explorer, but to lose your Scout this early on is never a great thing. Never a great position to be in as the French civilization, but it's okay. He has that another Scout. So Oliveza, the Native American warrior, Stanley Winston with another Scout, and he's just trading one Scout off for the time being. I guess losing one Scout isn't the end of the world. Oliveza herding his extra starting hunt, okay, his first hunt outside the base into the town centre range nice and safely. Hunting Dogs Gangsaw coming in for Oliveza. Let's see what's going on here for Stanley Winston. Hunting Dogs Placer Mines. No Gangsaw coming in, I suppose. Placer Mines and then chopping the remaining wood for steel traps. Looking to pull back most of these wood choppers now. Maybe trying to bring back his Explorer for a trading post, and that's what we see. I would like Stanley Winston at this point to not really continue chopping for the steel traps because it feels so. He'll be so slow onto the coin mine and the rest of the hunts. But he's carrying on with 10 vills, and if he's going to go for like a cavalry batch, maybe if he's going to go for a stable opening, I don't think Stanley's going to get a full 5 Hussar batch at the moment and may have to delay that initial stable and Hussar production. Oliveza into the second age before Stanley Winston aging up with the governor. Outpost wagon moving forward. Defensive barracks, so defensive outpost, defensive barracks. Oliveza has already seen this extra elk hunt and started it herding towards his town centre. So I think Oliveza is happy to be playing with these 3 hunts, but actually the remainder of his hunts are, well not his hunts, they're kind of map neutral hunts, are so far out on the field that he's going to have to be very calculated what he does with these starting hunts and 2 extra elk hunts. He will have to push out his base at a later point. Stanley Winston adapting to that extra wood he had to chop in the first age, going for an in-base barracks at this point instead of a stable, looking to go for a 10 musketeer semi-FF, but barracks not even built yet. 1 musketeer, okay, 5 musketeers now in queue for Oliveza, and 700 wood coming in first card, so very standard stuff coming out from the British player at the moment. I wonder if he's going to push forward these musketeers and kind of try and pick off a few units and harass the eco. Maybe he just wants to sit back. The Explorer is out though, and the Explorer's already actually got tabs on this Courier des Bois, and this CDB is quite far out of his base. It's not got his great coats just yet. Stanley Winston needs a full batch of 5 musketeers here to defend, and I think his Explorer here may have missed. Where's that other native scout of his? I know he had 2. Hopefully he didn't lose both those scouts, because he could have scouted this musketeer push coming in from Oliveza. That CDB is getting snared by the musketeer, by the Explorer, but managing to get away. The musketeers changing their fire onto Stanley Winston's units. Stanley Winston sending 4 vil 700 coin. We do have another musketeer in queue. It's deciding to go for the full 5 batch, so we'll have 10 musketeers out in the field from Stanley Winston. Oliveza though pushing out with another 4 musketeers and is pushing around, checking this extra hunt. But I think wants to pick up this extra Iroquois Tomahawk to further bolster his musketeer heavy infantry mass he's starting to acquire. Stanley Winston pushing out further outside his base. I think he's got eyes on his treasure, may have realised that it's just been taken and it'd be a bit too late to try and intercept. Interesting to see what Stanley Winston does. You do have the stronger vils. You could basically try and just accept that you might get raided by British musketeers, but if you can put the pressure onto the British player's base and raid these guys, Oliveza getting his great coat now, but for a while didn't have any, and those 5 musketeers which Stanley made, they could have also done some counter-raiding pressure. Stanley Winston finally gets on top of this next Helk and starting to turn it back. Most of these Elks are still at full HP though, so should be able to herd these guys a little bit further. Fortress Age resource shipments have now been sent. He's gathered up all the resources needed and the tech is underway right now. 700 coin from Oliveza. I'd like to think that Oliveza's following up behind this, but 2 longbows in queue and not many resources in bank at the moment. I think Oliveza's going to stay out a bit longer. He's got a very healthy musketeer mass at the moment. 22 muskets on the field compared to Stanley Winston's 10. Stanley is aging with a trading post behind this with 10 musketeers on the field. Looking to get 2 falconets out, vet musks, maybe a skirm batch to try and defend from the British players' mass, but Stanley Winston going for a raid, does not want to get caught out here. He cannot afford to lose his musketeers and have 0 mass going to the Fortress Age. Very wise from Stanley Winston. Looks like he's trying to back out here, getting a few kills, but 5 musketeers going to get picked off by the longbows, and this pickup from Oliveza should signal to Stanley, but he should really be backing off at this point. He's come in, he's had one job to try and raid the British player, but you don't want to get cut off, and this Explorer, 408 HP, is moving in to cut off this army and get these musketeers into the snare, and this is a very good move from players. Look at this, now the musketeers got this army in snare, it's allowing the Oliveza to catch up with his infantry army, and he's got such a large army compared to what Stanley Winston has. Stanley's going to lose all his musketeers here, especially with longbows standing still and firing and continuously shooting their arrows at these musketeers. Very long range, very good versus musketeer units, especially in the second age. Another 2 going down there, and 15 musks from Stanley just going to waste and going. Even 4 musketeers having to turn back. Quick look at Stanley's deck, see what Stanley's working with. Very standard French deck. It has refrigeration, frigate, and 10 Jaegers available. Only a single skirm shipment. Falconet's moving forward, but there's so many musketeer units from Oliveza. He's not looking! He's not looking! It's not unpacked! Oliveza's moving in, and 3 hussars out on the field as well. Stanley Winston, what's going on, mate? No! He's losing all his musketeers here, and he's trying to retreat. 3 cuirassiers out on the field from Stanley Winston here, going for a veteran musketeer. Well, not even veteran, just musketeer falconet cuirassier push, but he's lost his musketeer mass. He lost the units which needed to defend the falconets. Falconet's first card picked off without doing any damage here, and it's looking very shaky for Stanley Winston already, and Oliveza, great military control, and that all came down to that explorer snaring Stanley's army, really. That army being snared and being trapped. Oliveza's pushing out at the moment, and next card from Oliveza looking to be Musketeer attack coming in to buff these units and try and deliver the pain onto the French army. Cav HP could also be a card if he's got many more Cav on the way. Quickly moving over to the units in queue and see what Stanley is working with, or Oliveza. Just a single Musketeer, no Cav coming in, but so many units here under the Stanley's base, and you know, he's denying this food on top right. There's a few elks nearby, but Oliveza's on the army, and what can Stanley do at this point? I don't think Jaeger's in the way for Stanley at the moment. He's got 1 QSA in queue, but Oliveza, pure musk mass. Couple skirms out in the field trying to poke away from musketeers, and a big skirm batch coming from the 8 skirmishers. I feel like the QSAs need to try and move in to just tank some damage. Not even engage, but just try and tank and buy time for the skirmishers. In base, coin mine going out for Stanley as well, and maybe wanted to go for that forward coin mine first. Right, villagers having to fight and defend. No blunderbuss from these guys. They do have their great coats though, so they can tank. They can certainly tank, but missing out on that 3 extra damage and the +4 range. Minutemen also come out as well. These guys are losing their HP, but I think Oliveza wants to back out. He knows if he stays and overcommits, he could lose the game, but if he wants to play it safe, come back, wait for reinforcements, and try and contain the French player at this base. You know that I feel at this point you could go for maybe more longbows, hussars at this point to try and pick off and counter any skirmish or dragoon play, but very little musketeers here, and the 3 hussars going straight back in on top of these low minutemen and skirmishers. How is Stanley doing with the hussars just yet? No dragoons in queue. It's just a barracks. Another Vil pool coming out. Stanley should ideally have 10 in the town centre and the rest fighting. 5 dragoon shipment coming out after this, and Oliveza going 5 villagers next card. I know that his musketeer count is dwindling due to the skirmishers, but I'm looking for an upgrade card soon from Oliveza. Hopefully Cav HP coming in. And you can see how Stanley is forced onto that north coin mine after using his safe coin in the base, and the longbows and musketeers are just going to be very happy trying to curtail the French players' eco even more and just push Stanley back into that town centre. Nice volley there from dragoons, picking up a few hussars, but look at all this, field pool, not gathering at the moment. Oliveza is very wise to not lose his entire army and pull back, but large massive hussars now, not many supporting units to take on the dragoons. Oliveza really needs to go into longbow huss at this point, but still going for the musketeer hussar play. Stanley trying to herd in this southern hunt a little bit further than Oliveza's respective south hunt, but his northern hunt was much closer and still can be gathered from. But Oliveza with the 10 huss raid, GG for that villager. That villager's not getting out alive. And Stanley's now pushing out with 5 dragoons and 7 skirms. It just feels like Stanley's in a tough place and wouldn't really want to be pushing out just yet. If you lose these dragoons, it feels like it's possibly game over for Stanley. I know that he wants to try and micro his small army the best he can and try and pick off these hussars, the units which dragoons counter so well, but if those skirm mass was caught out, then we'd be in a very difficult situation. I just remembered Stanley. He's gone through all his unit cards. He's only got crates, Jaegers, upgrade, frigate available. He hasn't got the 7 skirmans. I think the 7, if he was still producing Dragoons from the stable, the 7 skirm shipment would have worked really, really well here. So interesting deck choices from Stanley Winston, but will it matter? We have all these Musketeers, Longbows pushing in north side of Stanley's base. Hussar's still alive, 1,000 coin coming in, but it looks like Stanley's starting to run out of safe hunt in his base, and will he actually be able to muster the military mass from his crates of coin before that final push from Oliveza comes in? I'm not too sure, and Stanley once again, full CDB pool here. 2 CDBs, really low HP. It would be nice if Oliveza could focus micro just a few of these CDBs down, but he's ahead in the ECalc population. I don't think Oliveza needs to try and overcommit when his skirms on the field. Just wait for more and more mass. Hussars now with their upgrade card, 368 HP. Now mass in Musketeers behind this. Could go for the Musketeer upgrade as well. Right, Dragoon's out on the field, and this Dragoon push is actually pushing all these villagers back. I'm not too sure Oliveza needs to run with all those vills. This represents a significant amount of idle time and food lost for the British player. He's now got his infantry nearby, so the vills could have tanked a little bit, but it just feels that at the moment it's hard for Oliveza to really deal with the Dragoons unless he can force the Dragoons to fight, and the best way to force a good fights with their Dragoons is to pressure their eco. I'll come back in on this area here, the food and the coin mine, and Oliveza will get the fights he wants and should be able to clean Stanley Winston up, but that military population is slowly going back to kind of middle ground for both players. Let's not forget Stanley Winston, 1,000 coin. He does have Jaegers as a shipment available. He's mainly gathering coin because that's the only resource he can have safe access to at this moment. Shipment is nearly ready to go. I think Stanley's just going to be massing Dragoons from the stable, sends 10 Jaegers, and that could be enough to do with what Oliveza's doing. It feels like Oliveza a little tentative here. A couple of Dragoons up here just waiting to try and catch a Dragoon raid, but even that sounds a bit interesting. Now raiding with 7 Hussars, and I want Oliveza to be pushing in with the army while the raid is happening. If you're going for a raid in downtime, the opponent's aware. You can see he's got his Dragoons near his coin mine anyway. He's aware that this is a big risk at the moment for his eco and his chances of winning in this game. So Oliveza really needs to do some sort of 2-pronged attack here to get the maximum effects. And I think this move in from Oliveza, now that Musk attack, is going to signal a push from Oliveza to come in. Jaegers has been on the way for Stanley Winston, and Jaegers will soon be out on the field from this town centre. Can Stanley Winston hold off the engagement from Oliveza until Jaegers arrive? Jaegers just come in. Villagers are having to retreat. They're not actually wanting to engage just yet. Looks like they're grouping all together and waiting for Jaeger reinforcements. Dragoons try and pick off a few units while they can, but you see, Longbows with their long range, they're just tearing these Dragoons down, and I think Oliveza needs to... He's now got 2 Longbows and 1 Hussar. That's a better decision at this moment. But full Vill pull from Stanley Winston. No gathering at the moment. If Oliveza realises how many villagers are being committed here, he's just kiting back. He knows he doesn't... Okay, he's not kiting back, he's running away. He just doesn't want to overcommit here against these skirmishers and really strong Jaeger units, and just waiting for more Longbow reinforcements. Another 10 Longbow reinforcements. Looks like Oliveza's going to stand still, turn back. CDB is still in the front of the fight. Dragoons path around to the south. Where the Huss going? Looks like the Huss are getting away from the Dragoons. Waiting for the Musketeers to engage the Dragoons a little bit. Wants to focus these Longbows onto the Dragoon mass. But now a big Huss charge onto these CDBs. A couple of CDBs a bit idle, a bit glitched out and frozen. Not doing too much here. But Huss now on the CDBs. Jaegers still standing firm for the French player at the moment. Still has 8 Jaegers on the floor, and that Musketeer mass from Oliveza is falling rapidly. Stanley Winston's keeping his Dragoons on the back line to deal with the Hussars, and actually it's the Courier des Bois which is tanking and protecting the Dragoons and Jaegers, and in terms of military, that was all right for Stanley, but his economy has just been disintegrated. He's only got 1 Vill remaining. If this 1 Vill goes down, then it's a total disaster for Stanley Winston. Never mind, it's chopping wood somewhere. What a lucky Vill. Not getting involved in that bloodbath. GG called from Stanley Winston, and Oliveza taking the quick 1-0 at this point. Right, post game. Let's have a look at the military unit population. I think we're going to see everything we want to see here. Stanley Winston pushing out in the Fortress Age, but we're still colonial musketeers, and he did pick off 3 villages, which is a really nice raid. But actually lost so many units here. Probably lost he lost 12 for those musketeers, I think, or maybe 14, before losing any units of himself, and then catching the falconets out in the open for, again, very minimal losses. Stanley was in a dire position at that point. Managing to trade off well with Dragoon and Skirmisher reinforcements, but Oliveza's eco was just enough to kind of go into overdrive, and that final push, more military than Stanley Winston, even with those Jaegers on the field, managed to pick off the army as well as the entire villager count from Stanley Winston. And if Stanley Winston had all those villas still working, not in the fight, and had that same military fight, I think Stanley Winston could have carried on there. But the fact that all those villas went down in that fight as well, that was a signal at the end of the game there for Stanley Winston. We did see 33 going down to 29, so 4 villas in that raid from Stanley, but 4 villas at the expense of your army composition, and then nothing, no heavy infantry to protect your falconets from a 3 hussar batch. It wasn't 5, it wasn't 10, it was just 3 hussars from Oliveza was enough to kind of move in and mop up those falconets after a couple of heavy infantry volleys at that point. And every time this curve flattens out, that was a point when Stanley Winston went into full villager fighting modes. And when villagers are fighting, they're technically registered as idle because they're moving around. And you can see Stanley Winston's idle graph right here. Consistent 25, 26, 25 villagers having to fight instead of gather, while Oliveza's, towards the end, had his own macro problems himself, but nothing in comparison to what the French player was dealing with. GG. I would like to join Oliveza's game. The next map for you guys today is Lumaco. Lumaco is the map, and the Hudson Bay Bigs is to pick, so Oliveza to pick first. Oliveza going for the Loboto civilization. Ottoman's favourite civ on this map, it seems, so far in the EPL. Stanley Winston can go for an Ottoman mirror if he chooses. I don't see why there's an issue of not being able to counter the Ottomans by going Ottomans yourself. We've seen a lot of Su being picked into Ottomans, but on this map, with the choke points, the narrow map, the kind of heads-up nature where you can't really kind of raid around, I'm not too sure Su is a great option. You could go for a bit of cheese as the Su and go for an infantry push in the second age and try and catch your Ottoman opponents, unsuspecting of your strategy in second age. But a simple war to the south should be enough to suffice. Make Validadon donating $3. I hope I didn't butcher your name completely, or Machiavelli. It's such a long name. Maybe enter in the chat. Where do you get that name from? It's such an interesting. I always find it interesting where people get their names from, because you load into multiplayer. It says please choose your name. You're thinking you try and type your name, but it's just taken. It's like something different. Because Stanley's showing his mechanics by having 0 idle vills at the end of the game as the French civilization, and that is some BM coming out from Cassette of the CMCs, if you've ever heard it. Kits said he would rage quit after losing the cannons like that. I'm glad he carried on, because Stanley had a sniff back into the game, I felt like, but actually it was pretty over at that point, to be honest. But Stanley persevered and tried to micro his best with the skirmishes, and a few, I think, got some decent trades in his base with villager defense. But those villagers are fighting, not gathering. You just kind of letting your opponent remass even larger, or larger in respect to what you have. Yeah, definitely lost with that Fourville Harker right there. I keep forgetting whether it's Harker or Harcher. I think I've had this conversation like 20 times with this player, and I just keep completely forgetting all this time. Oh, the next series tonight is Sompu versus For Justice at 21 GMT. That'd be a little bit too late for me to cast that one, but hopefully should be cast, and looking forward to that one. Yeah, Sompu specifically. Sompu Konku so far having a bit of a rough time in this tournament at the moment, being switched into the third slot of the team. Sompu Konku is hoping for a good victory over For Justice today, but For Justice very strong in the last EPL and has been putting in some good performances recently, even taking Stanley Winston, who we're seeing today, down 4-1 last week. So For Justice, do not underestimate him. Many people do underestimate him. I'm, for one, probably underestimate For Justice as well. Looks like Oliveza is greeting somebody in the stream called Paul321Yo. So if Paul is in the chat, there you go. You've been shouted out by Oliveza. Stanley can't play as the French. I feel that French would have been a safe-ish pick versus Oliveza. You could go German if the Otto go for the standard fast fortress agenda on this map. The Germans have a relatively tough time defending, but their game plan is very simple. And if you have a simple game plan, but you can kind of focus more on the what's going on in the game than actually having to worry about too much about macro, because you just go 3 settler wagons, 700 wood, get that age up in. Don't have to train too many units in the second age. Throw down a stable, produce war wagons, maybe have enough coin to go for Black Riders, but 3 war wagons first shipments most likely, and then just try and defend from the Janissaries, the Hussars, the Falconets, all those units that war wagons definitely counter. Harcher, finally. Right, Harcher. My apologies, kind sir. Please forgive me. I'm only a simple man.
Are you ready?
It's not that it's personally too late for me, but it's too late for me to shoutcast in my bedroom. Gotta think about other people who I live with. Stanley Winston going for the Dutch here, and I really don't like the Dutch on this map, and I'll tell you more into the game.
Yes.
Alright guys, hopping into game number 2 on Lumarco here. Lumarco is a map which gives you extra wood crates, and the Ottoman always guaranteed trading posts with whichever crate they start off with, and it's the same for any other map, but having 400 wood on the floor already for Oliveza, you can see that early market, no not market, early mosque, early house, and that trading post all being built without any extra things to worry about. But Oliveza actually continuing to chop wood here, suggesting he wants to go for a double trading post in Age 1. And when you're playing versus Stanley Winston, counter-picking Oliveza with the Dutch, you have a great opportunity to try and steal as many trading posts away from your opponents, and could even actually really stamp down his authority, and actually, after picking up this trading post, move over to this trading post and take this for yourself. That way, Stanley can't go in for a cheeky trading post steal in transition to the second age, and you kind of force Stanley to go into play, well, do you want to push out and try and contest the trading route line? But if you do that, you're sacrificing your own economy by not going for full greed. Or do you want to try and ignore that and play your own agenda? But by the way, I have the full control. So Oliveza's going back to his home trading post, and I have full vision of the map, so it kind of helps. I feel that this would be a safer bet, but at the moment we do have Stanley's Explorer nearby on this treasure, so Stanley could have made snares the Ottoman Explorer, but denying this TP I think is very important at this point. Map's very balanced on 2 power. It's usually a very mirrored spawn, and we currently see what's happening, so I'm very happy with this. Oliveza seeing it, this 75 wood treasure. I hope he's seen it. He has seen it now. He's deciding to move back. Did he crack shot another treasure? I don't think so. He's just pondering around. Maybe he's going for the 80 wood, and I don't mind this actually. I think the 80 wood. Okay. 80 woods is usually guarded by 3 cougars, if I'm not mistaken. So he crack-shotted one on the way out for the train post, and has come back to finish the job off before being stolen by Stanley's Explorer, who's nearby. Right, 3 settlers coming from Oliveza, and hang on a minute, he's very late with that house, and looks like he's only just getting another Ville in queue, but going up with 12 Villes on the floor at the moment. With a 230 age up, so a fast age up from Stanley. Stanley Winston's currently got 900 food clicking up. Does have 100 coin, but that's the coin needed for the next villager, which is, you don't need that now. You need food and wood now. So the Dutch on this map, I find the Dutch very awkward. You see how he's gathering this extra wood crate now, and if it was a wood start for Stanley, he would have started off with 300 wood, 100 wood for a house, and then you just have 200 wood sitting around until you go into that transition where you can actually then build a bank. But until you actually spend that wood, it's kind of useless, and all that extra wood does is just get your bank up a little bit earlier and getting some extra coin, but you still have to wait until the next age to send that shipment, and it feels like that extra bonus of that wood crate just doesn't really transition to anything materialistic the Dutch can use for at that point. Whereas Oliveza is, the 2 TPs already. Very easy for him to get that 3rd trading post if he sits his Explorer onto this trading site. And that is a very materialistic outcome for Oliveza. He would have 3 trading posts and deny the entire map for his opponent, while Stanley is just slightly faster, but can't make full advantage of it. And actually, this bank is not even going to be completed by the time Stanley gets to the second age, and it's a coin crate start as well. So I'm confused with Stanley why what's kind of happened with this early macro from the Dutch player so far. It feels like he's now got that 1 Ville in queue, but he's got 5 Villes on coin, and to me that signifies early building like a stable or barracks, because you don't need this many coin villagers. Going barracks first, building. So that's where the extra coin is going to. Oliveza with the trading post going for 3 TPs. Sending a Silk Road as a pivot shipment into the second age. Let's have a look at Oliveza's deck. Will we see something revolting? And 8 Hussars in the 4th age is a very revolting sight if your name is Stanley Winston playing the Dutch. Options here for Oliveza to go for a fast industrial into revolts. Cav combat, 1,000 coin, 1,000 wood, 8 Hussars, as well as factories and bombard support. You could even go to the 4th age, research mercantilism, and kind of delay your push and push in with many more age 4 shipments and get your factories down for your kind of continuous military sustained strength that the factory and the great bombards provide, or factory resources Imperial Hussars provide. But Oliveza, 700 wood first card, Barracks Stable coming down, and I think these are just going to be used to kind of put pressure on Stanley Winston. And at the moment, Stanley Winston has these 2 Guanaco hunts to play with, as well as that starting hunt that he has in his base. And after he runs through all this hunt, he's just going to run out of options, and only a couple of these animals still alive to the south. 1 extra coin mine as well. But the food staff may be on here for Oliveza, and if you're actually playing a starve containment at this point, a couple of outposts will do very well on top of this military building production. Coin coming for Oliveza. Oliveza having a decent food stack as well. I think Oliveza just training a few units, harass, force Stanley Winston for that early barracks, as you see, and skirmisher production. Even 8 pikes from Stanley Winston, and I guess if you're Stanley Winston, you kind of feel like you're forced to kind of try and deny this trading post line from Oliveza, because this is just really good eco that you're kind of given to the Ottoman player. 5 Jans, 5 Hussars out, steel traps coming in for Oliveza. All that food has been sunk into military, and who can win this micro fight? 5 Huss, 5 Jans, handful of skirmishers, 8 pikes, but actually more Janissaries coming in. And those pikemen are really saving these skirmishers from this push-in from Oliveza. Maybe Oliveza would have preferred a barracks artillery foundry for Jan Abus, but I think the Abus would get picked off by the skirmishers. Superior range by Stanley's good micro. Hussar flank going on. Maybe try and go for a bit of a raid down to the south, but at the moment actually losing more Janissaries to the skirmishers, and these buildings are currently under pressure. So Stanley being able to push out Oliveza, another coin shipment on that Silk Road. I don't know if he wants to age or not. I'm getting mixed signals from Oliveza what his plan is at the moment. Right, raid coming in. A couple of skirmishers unguarded. 1 villager going down to the south. But Stanley Winston's committing his push on. He's actually pulling these skirmishers with him. Don't try and defend the raid and try and keep it safe with pikemen. But pikemen being now caught by Janissaries. Barracks going down with skirmishers nearby. More pikes were trained by Stanley Winston, and Stanley's actually got a really good mass behind this. Oliveza finally clicking to the Fortress Age, but let's look at units lost. It's not going to be great for Oliveza at the moment. And oh wow, look at this. Oliveza, 5 Jans, 2 Huss, a barracks in the stable. Stanley Winston, although he's invested heavily into his military second age, has not lost a single unit, and that is some very good control out there from Stanley Winston. Oliveza is hightailing his Janissaries out of here, even going for a small beaver treasure. A couple Hussars down to the south trying to get for a raid, but the pikemen are just zoning off that hunt. So these Hussars being forced into the town centre, where all these villagers are nearby this town centre, ready to be garrisoned. They even have their greatcoats in, so I'm not expecting another villager here going down. But a bank wagon comes out, bank wagon, but thrown down straight away, and these guys build very, very fast. And as a Dutch player, I can tell you that once that bank wagon's put on the floor, it's pretty safe. Oliveza doesn't have the wood available for a gate, so he's just keeping his Hussars here, and I'm going to go in for another counter raid when he feels that he's ready to push back in. But let's look at Stanley Winston's deck. What does he have in his deck to deal with what Oliveza's doing? Standard cards, third age, but not all of them. Could have an extra card in the third age. 14 skirmishers instead of 17 raiders in the fourth age. I'm not too sure about that. The 17 raiders, it feels like a safe shipment. Sometimes it's also more valuable because it's a more coin-heavy unit compared to food, and you get more value from that 17 Reuter. So I feel that 17 Reuter is the better card for Stanley in this case. But Stanley getting the resources to go to the third age, 4 banks down, and considering his military mass, that's pretty respective. But oh my god, I'm missing this. Spahi's out for already, and I thought this was going to be a industrial play from Oliveza, but Spahi's just cleaning up all the pikemen, and My god, Stanley Winston, army is getting caught up with the Spahies, all 5 coming out, and that caught me by surprise. Going Spahi's first card. You don't usually see the Ottomans going Spahi's first card. Usually it's going to be like 8 Jans, Falconets, or maybe the coin crates if you want to go for something else, but Spahi's out on the field. There's only 5 pikes in base remaining. A couple Hussars were still nearby trying to raid, and these 5 pikes would not be enough for these Spahies. You see these guys are running away, and Stanley's currently aging right now, so he can't go for races just yet. He's frantically trying to probably get another batch of pikes going, but you know, he's not gathering wood. 5 skirms in queue. These guys can get picked off as well. 5 pike, 5 skirm. Meanwhile, Oliveza trying to go for the trading post. I only managed to catch the Spahi shipment out the corner of my eye, and that made me question what was going on. 2 Falconets and more Janissaries being pumped in. These Falconets having to walk a long way. I hope these Falconets go via the gate, and that's exactly where they're going. Right, Spahi's engaged onto the pikemen. You see how these pikemen are just, you know, they are archaic spearmen infantry. They don't stand up to these Ottoman heavy cavalry. Janissaries marching their way into Dutch players' base. More skirms being produced, but there's still Janissaries everywhere. Finally, a batch of 5 Reiters, but 5 Reiters won't be enough just yet. But Stanley Winston just sent himself a card. I'm expecting 9 Reiters for shipment here from Stanley Winston, and 9 Reiters do pop out. No Minutemen just yet as well from Stanley, and I feel for Oliveza's wasted his Spahies before the Falconets and Janissaries have turned up. You know, there's still about 13 Raiders on the field for Stanley Winston. It looks like it's going to go straight onto those Falconets, and actually this is a good time to do so. The Janissaries, not the greatest in hand attack, and these veteran Raiders are much better in hand combat versus artillery than in range, and Spahi's going down relatively free once those 9 Raiders come up. They got some great value, but Stanley has the eco, he has the military, and Oliveza's out of steam, it looks like. Artillery foundry being thrown down by Oliveza in base, but he's not sent a coin shipment just yet to pump out Abus guns or Falconets. A couple of skirmishers trying to engage with the Janissaries as well. Looks like not much is getting done. Villagers pushing out onto the map north side though, but I think Stanley's going to have a great army soon, and he could even go for the 5 Hussar shipments as well, and that would really round out his composition and deal with villagers out in the field. Let's look into units in queues to see what's happening. 2 Reiters, 2 skirmishers, 1 Reiter, and still carrying on with that skirm Reiter combo. 1,000 coin coming from Oliveza, but you're trying to gather outside your base with no military protection, and now you're sending 1k coin in base. A little bit of tempo coming differences from Oliveza, and some of his skirms, just another pure Janissary mass, no veteran Janissaries. I think Stanley is now in a commanding position, especially on top of this raid, and also capturing a single trading route for himself. Villagers topside moving out. He's now finally picking up that 75 wood, which he could have done in the first stage after the 80 wood Cougar treasure. But Oliveza now training Falconets on top of this Janissary mass. Veteran Jans now incoming. But Stanley Winston is smart. He knows that the Ottoman player is out of food. This is the only food he has available. This is like the second hunt you can herd in, but it's managed to kind of walk off to the north side. The Ottomans don't use too much food, and so Oliveza never really got onto that hunt. It just walked in the opposite direction, and now it's really biting Oliveza hard because he's got no food income. He's got 3 Falcons coming out, but apart from this, there's no more eco coming behind it for Oliveza. He needs this engagement to go really well. Even called him Minutemen, but Stanley is just backing out. He sees the Falcons. He realizes he might lose lots of skirms to this. No need to risk it. He's going to back out and probably wait for Culverin support of his own, or maybe a full Reiter Hussar switch. Stanley Winston now working on Oliveza's stagecoach. You know, quite a sizable part of the Ottoman eco is currently 47, recalc populated population versus 17, and that considers the bank's worth 4 bank pop space. Oliveza, though, correct decision, pushing out with Jan's, Minutemen, Falconets into Stanley's base, hoping to try and pick off some houses, maybe a bank. Barracks would be nice to kind of help production. Hussars out as well, could get sniped off by some Jans, but Vet Hussars coming in from the stable. Hopefully it's this stable top right. It just feels like there's so much stuff here for Stanley, it's going to take a while for all the siege to happen. Stanley's just retreating with full army, so Reuters, Hussars, Skirms, Vet, Reuters coming behind us. Janissary Combat's coming out. Very nice, buffing his entire army essentially because he's got nothing else to kind of work with what he's got. But I feel that Skirmishers in stagger mode. I think Reuters can actually go into stagger mode as well. I know there's a hotkey which can do something similar to that. But Hussar's going straight into it, and another Hussar flank outside. So Cav going all directions, and once these Falconets go down, even just one Falconet now is not enough. Skirmishers can just pick off these Janissaries at will, and it looks like Stanley Winston's just going to Z move on top of the entire mass, and that military mass from Oliveza is crumpling away, and GG has been called. Interesting game from Oliveza. Going Silk Road second card. I think that's fine. It gives your card shipments a little bit, your crate shipments a little bit more impetus and kind of help your momentum. But actually, you could have just gone 700 coin, 700 wood, been the third age, and then instead of still being in the second age with 700 coin, 600 coin, that could have been there could have been more units like the Janissaries, Falconets, then Spahis, and then actually pushing in where that Spahi push was, with an extra 8 Jans in the field, veteran Janissaries, and the Falconets at that point. I think you'd absolutely have wrecked Stanley Winston. You can see that's Spahi pop from Oliveza. First shipment in the third age, running straight towards Stanley Winston's Pike Skirm army. Those pikemen tried their best to pick off the Spahis, but actually once the pikemen went down, so did the skirmishers, and Oliveza had a window to try and push in, but actually lost a lot of units, and Stanley Winston managed to defend so well. Spahis charged headlong into Stanley's base, but Minutemen, Townsend to fire, and then the 5 Reuter, 9 Reuter pops was enough to pick up the Spahis, and then just a couple of skirmishers were picking off the Janissaries. Reuters in hand combat versus the Falconets. Those Falconets went down for free as well, so Falconet control this game. This match series hasn't been optimal just yet. Both players were getting themselves warmed up into the game, and it sets us up very nicely for game number 3. Oliveza head of eco early on, funded by all those crate shipments, especially boosted by that Silk Road. But actually, Stanley Winston's 4 banks really kick in, and that continuous gathering from Stanley Winston really helped his eco, where Oliveza's secondary hunt outside of his base wandered off, and felt that Oliveza had to walk out across the map multiple times for hunting, and you have to question, why was Oliveza hunting in positions like this, when you still had this hunt available, which could have been herded in a bit better early on, and you still had, well, Stanley Winston's equivalent hunt was here. Like, the Ottoman player was never touching this hunt, but Oliveza was being raided in multiple places after losing his initial time in pushing with the Spahi and Falconets. Yeah, that raid as well. That raid really hurt Oliveza. 10 vills going down, and that made the trading post essentially the main part of his eco. And once Stanley actually got onto that trading line and took down Oliveza's full total supremacy control over it, Stanley's eco was just insane. Song Kyung Duck, $5. Test donation. Please ignore. Sorry, I did not ignore that one. It looks like it's worked correctly. Maybe Song Hyun Duck is teeing himself up for something else. We'll have to find out. I shall be more attentive and get excited. No, I've just seen Duck was sorting out his own OBS studios and actually wanted to see how it worked, and what better way to test out casting by just triggering off this donation alerts yourself by donating to the great cause that is of ESOC, currently at $813, and that's been increasing very, very fast recently. Big shout outs to Malasite and Sunny-3 as well. Previous donations and streams I've been casting, been very appreciated.
Yes.
Stanley Winston locking in with the Eero civilization. Interesting. We have seen Eero on this map a few times. It feels like a very standard map. I don't see how Eero is particularly amazing on this map, but it's also a very good first pick civilization. And Oliveza is going for the Spanish. Let's get onto the Spanish hype train. The Spain pain train is going to pass through the swamps of 2 Paro, especially if it's that middle TP spawn of the 4 TPs on that middle line. I'm getting excited for this, and maybe Dire Ruger has predicted what Oliveza's counter pick to the Eero is, and Stanley has some sort of dream plan come up. And let's have a quick cheeky look at Stanley Winston's deck. Let's see what is going in. I do know there's some interesting cards that the Iroquois have available to them if they want to do a bit of siege damage. Team Water, no. Team... looks like Stanley's a bit of a team play himself. But we don't see any Town Destroyer cards or 5 Huron Mantlets Mercenary card. Both high siege damage cards. And that is a great card to deal with Spanish Revolt. Kidokite, just get out of bed, make yourself a coffee, enjoy that you're watching some high action gameplay here on ESOC TV, casted by myself, and just enjoy it. If you go to bed, you're going to miss out on the action, the interactivity. I'm here for you right now. Right, Oliveza finally making that deck, and we are about to hop into game number 3 on 2 Paro. Oliveza, having resigned, forgot to Rekek, and good lad. While I've got this little bit of downtime, and this map's been reskinned, so it's much better for the players to see actually on the screen itself. The mini-map, though, very green and orange, reminds me of the Mazda 787B Group C race car. If you ever don't know what that is, go on Google, search it up. It's a green and orange Mazda car, and it looks very dashing, just like this map, designed by Dan Sill, I think it is. I don't think it's a vividly plain map, but one of the new maps for ESOC's been having great fun with recently, and we've seen some great maps on there so far.
Yes.
I chose to play Spain in a cheeky 3v3 earlier. I had to step in last second to help out with Jared's 3v3 tournament due to a player not showing up. Not a team player, not even a good player, let alone a team player, and I tried to hold myself, even go for a Spanish Revolt to distract my opponents, but they had it all figured out and worked out, and unfortunately lost that game. But the Spanish Revolt, really strong though in 1v1, and Stanley Winston will have his work cut out if he wants to defend this. Oliveza may want to go for an ATP play here, especially with his train posts all over the map. It's hard to kind of move your army and defend all of them at once. One para, just subscribed to ESOC. thank you for the subscription. If you actually are from 1 para, you're a mad lad. Insane. 90 coin being scouted by the pet doggo going north. Good old Don Gatto seeing what's going on. And we'll come across the Aero Explorer. Knowing where the Aero Explorer is actually early on is quite nice because then you can kind of move your own Explorer elsewhere and pick up treasures in the free knowledge that you won't be treasure creeped and getting your treasures stolen by your opponents. 135 coin being scouted out. You could go for that. It will mean you won't have to chop any coin into that second age if you're going to go for a standard Spanish fast fortress. But I think Oliveza is looking for those easier treasures, and 20 coin is certainly an easier treasure, but looking maybe for some wood or some food to kind of help that age 1, especially if he wants to go for some sort of trading post play in the first age. Oliver's still walking around. Let's have a quick look at the hunts. One front, one side, one side, one side. Kind of 2 in the kind of diagonals for Oliveza. So both players have access to around about 4 hunts each. So I'm happy with the map balance. And if you run out of hunts and base, there's loads down to the southwest, which both players should be aware of. That's part of the map preparation, is know how these maps spawn and where to push out for resources if needs be. Oliveza though, 100 food, nice pickup. Stanley Winston settling himself here for 90 coin. His previous treasure he picked up though wasn't 80 food as well, so 80 food, 90 coin, certainly better than the 100 food that Oliveza's getting. In-base market and house coming from Oliveza. I have seen that Oliveza, even in the Ottoman game, going for steel traps as the Ottoman civilization, does like market plays and going for market techs. Currently doesn't have any markets techs being researched, but it was a coin start, so I believe Oliveza has bought some resources and probably built the market, bought the wood for the house, and dropped the house afterwards. Stanley Winston starting to age up now. Let's have a quick look with what Stanley Winston is aging up with. Going up the Wise Woman, that provided him some crates on the age up, as well as the Travois. You get a Travois for every single age up as the hero, so a very nice civilization bonus which the hero player has available to him, and most likely will be dropping a war hut in the middle of the map, maybe dropping back at the central of the base as well, just to kind of help defend from any Spanish early aggression. Malasite, my man, once again donating mega bucks towards the donating $76, but a little short of 76 because he wants the total bar to read $888.88, and please guys, do not, do disrupt that final total. Although it looks nice now, bigger numbers are prettier numbers by all accounts. Right, Oliveza has now sent advanced training posts as second card and did not get a training post at the start with full training post costs, as it waited for the ATP to come in before going for these training posts. And this map, 2 separate routes, so you need to upgrade to your route twice if you want 4 stagecoach TPs, but it looks like Oliveza wants to take full control of the trading line on the top side, but has been going for a few of these native settlements as well, and going for a Carib settlement as well as Incan. It feels like this is a campaign map which Oliveza wants to do. Is Oliveza really thinking about going for some Incan spearman play early on? Quick look at his deck. He does have the native treaties, and you're going to get a batch of Incans and Caribbeans pushing in. So Incan spearmen, Incan bolus, and the Carib blowgunners could be quite nice here from Oliveza. Maybe Oliveza's worked out this is a strong shipment to send in the Spanish situation right about now, but that defensive outpost does suggest to me that Oliveza is looking to play rather defensive and going for 700 coin first card. I eat my hat. 700 wood coming in first. maybe wanting to get as many train posts down out on the map just to try and get as full map control as possible. Another income assessment available to capture, but may not be the highest priority, but going for a second train post. I'm sure Stagecoach is already on its way being researched from Oliveza right now, and I guess at this point, if you're getting the Stagecoach as well, do you need the 700 coin then? Do you go 5 vil? We see Stanley though, forward War Huts, training a batch of Tomahawks, researching the Tomahawk big button as well, so pushing in with 10 Tomahawks as well as that archaic Treasure Guardian army. 10 Tomahawks running to the base. These guys, 165 HP, 2 shot by town centres. Native treaties coming in from Oliveza, and this is the perfect army to deal with what Stanley Winston's got. You've got the Carib Blowgunners, the Income Bolus Warriors as well. Both of these units deal very well with the Tomahawks, and actually, this town centre I think should be focusing down Stanley's hero. I don't mind it focusing down the Tomahawks, but these Caribbean Blowgunners, very strong versus these guys, but low HP and a very low range as well, only 10 range. You can see he's trying to push out, but just doesn't have the actual manpower really behind to deal with it effectively, and a single Musketeer batch, first batch, is a bit underwhelming at this point. Okay, Tower and Town Centre focusing down that Explorer, 73 HP remaining. Another 2 shots will need to take it down, it looks like. Oh, a 1 shot would have actually picked it off, but managing to get out of range just in time. But Oliveza, 2 TPs on the North Trading Route, Stagecoach in. XP incoming from the native settlements as well. Another shipment is on the way for Oliveza. 7 rods being sent. I don't think Oliveza really wants to play this in the colonial age. But I suppose Aero Fortress Age is also exceptionally strong. Maybe he's calculated this. He has enough infantry here to take down the War Hut, but I don't think he has enough mass here to take down the War Hut as well as defeat the Aero army at the same time. It feels like you can train units to deal with one or the other, but Stanley Winston has a train post himself. Sent 6 Tomahawks. Still has access to Canyas and 7 Ayenas, and actually does have that Town Destroyer. I must have missed that deck which the Town Destroyer was involved. Gives your Aero War Chief 232 siege attack, and that is brutal, that is. It's so strong, and it's very good for picking off early houses, exposed buildings like barracks, and you could say train posts, but actually you'd be out of the way, and you really want to be putting the pressure on at this point. Stanley could have gone for Town Destroyer instead of 5 villagers, but I think at this point, a little late for that now, and is choosing to mass on Tomahawks and Ayenas and Canyas. I'm expecting 7 Ayena shipments as the next card from here. Might be a little bit too early for infantry hit points or conservative tactics. Does have the All Crate Resources card as well, so it could pivot into the Fortress Age while mass, but fight happening on both the armies outside, and Olivez is fighting away from the town centre support, outpost support, and Minutemen. Tomahawks focusing down the Rodoleros trying to get onto these Canyon Horsemen. Now that there's all down, Kaz re-engaging the Musketeers, but this is entire heavy infantry mass from Olivez. These Canyons probably don't be staying around too long. Okay, the Bolus and the Caribbeans are moving back in, and Minutemen are joining the fight as well, and Stanley had it best as he could get, really, but just imagine if it was underneath Stanley's town centre, no, under Eliza's, Oliveza's town centre, god damn it. That'd been such a more of a clean-up, but really, that Musketeer mass was just enough. Those Bolus and Caribbean warriors were not picked off by the cavalry, so those Canyons were wasted, and now pushing out with pikemen, another batch of Musketeers. You know, Stanley's army has gone. War Dog support, Minutemen, really nice just to deal with this, and you know, a Warhawk can pick off the Minutemen, but you know, we'll be overkilling these guys really badly. Bolus warriors, 200 HP, very, very tanky guys indeed, and even the Caribbeans. Ayena's coming out here from Stanley as another defensive shipment, but Dogs, and where's that Explorer for Spanish player? He's standing still, Dogs could be in the way. Let's look for units in queue to see if he's going for Dogs himself. Nope, just 1 Musketeer in queue, but another 5 batch of Musketeers reinforcing, and that TP line and that XP income from the Spanish player, he's just sending shipment after shipment at this point. Longhouses exposed forwards. Quite high HP though, 1800. May want to push on into the corral as more priority than his 2 longhouses. And a Warhut's been thrown down, and you could even actually just charge forward, and you know that if the hero is massing on one war hut, as soon as you take that down, they're thinking, oh my god, I need another war hut, and that stable has gone down so fast. Will that war hut even get up in time? I think it will just about, but still not training any military out to deal with this mass, and Oliveza is very happy to pick off this infrastructure from Stanley. Oliveza a whole 4 shipments ahead at this point, and that's what happens when you go for ATP play on top of the trade posts as well as the natives. You know, these native settlements do provide 0.7 XP per second, I think is the latest from the patch notes, which I think is very, very large, and especially on maps where you have the trading route as well and advanced trading posts incoming. It just provides the Spanish player so much XP and momentum. Oliveza can do absolutely anything here, and that could be pushing underneath the town centre Stanley. Stanley playing hero, no Minutemen available. He could age up to the third age, pushing with Vet Musk Falks, but he's happy with what he's doing. He's just gonna go. He's just gonna drag box his entire army onto this war hut. Crowd first. It's under construction. Will take so much extra siege damage at this point. 5 ANs would take absolutely ages to go through this Spanish army, and there's so many units here. A couple of these Minutemen are still standing. Only one Tomahawk being trained from the war hut, but that's going to go down very, very quick. Tomahawk's moving to the south, ANs moving to the north, getting picked off before actually engaging, and the resignation comes out there, and the GG comes in. No GG from Stanley, and Oliveza out in straight away after that game. Maybe he wants to take this hype into the 4th match. Oliveza currently 2-1 up and carrying the bigs in the lead at the moment. Stanley representing the New World Challengers and has to win the next 2 if he wants to win the series 3-2. We saw from Oliveza defensive outpost, but into full colonial. And I think actually that defensive outpost was a little bit of a mind game for Stanley Winston. When I saw his defensive outpost, I was assuming that Oliveza was going for ATP into 700 coin. A slightly delayed fast fortress, but a much stronger one once you get there. But Oliveza, 700 wood first card, native treaties as well, and most of those native warriors were still alive towards the end. The Incan Bolas, the Incan Huamincas, and the Caribbean Blowgunners were still alive. Especially the Bolas warriors and Caribbean Blowgunners dealing with that large mass of tomahawks that Stanley Winston had. But once that native shipment went through, Rodoleros, more wood, pikemen, while continuously pumping out hussars and predominantly musketeers as well at that point. Oliveza just got such a big mass and pushed in. 5 hills later on helped the eco, but that eco was already ahead for Oliveza with those 2 TP stagecoaches to the north side, as well as the XP kind of just sending all these extra crate shipments in, which funded Oliveza's mass infantry spam. Military unit population. Let's look at population first. The population for Stanley falls away in that fight. Not too many units here lost for Oliveza, but that does not include units like the natives, which he has certainly more. Quite a lot of his population with the Canyas going down, and Stanley had a stable training a batch of 2 or 3 Canyas, and they fell as well. So lots of population from Canyas going down to the heavy infantry, and military unit count. See, it's a little bit closer, even numbers in terms of military units, but actually Oliveza, Musketeer, and Bolas and Caribbean Blowgunners was just enough to do what Stanley Winston had. And I think Stanley Winston tried to engage, but just couldn't get a full engagement on. Reinforcements of the Minutemen helped out as well in that fight. Do not underestimate the Minutemen; they contributed a lot, picking off a couple of those Canyas and easily doing damage to take down 2 or 3 Tomahawks. But then 8 Pikes reinforcing, and that 7 Rodoleros reinforcing, and then a Musketeer batch, and that just was enough to overwhelm that blockhouse. Right, Wad Malau, next map. Oliveza from the Hudson Bay Bigs is going to be picking first, and it's going to be a Civ reset as well. Brits picked from Oliveza. We haven't seen a British revolt so far. And the British Revolt is it's not necessarily a top tier strategy, but if you can manage to get 99 vills out from all your manor houses, your villager shipments, maybe a second town centre, 99 colonial militias are always very difficult to deal with. But on this map, I'm expecting some defensive play from Oliveza, maybe a bit of water play. If you're trying to play for the land map, you're going to have to be really offensive with a forward outpost and musketeer shipments to try and deny it from a Civ, which Stanley can go. And Stanley Winston, I'm feeling an Aztec pick here from Stanley. Aztecs are very good at pression early on. They do very well versus the British Civ in just a matchup. Mace Coyotes, very good units in this matchup. But also later on in the water battle, the Aztecs very strong with their Talok canoes, water dance. But Stanley could have his own ideas. Ottoman could be here. You could push out tower mid-map, 3 TP stagecoach, Jan Abus. Aztecs coming up from Stanley Winston. So British versus Aztecs. Game number 4 on Wadmalau. Sponsored by AAA Poker. Let's see what the $888 donations bar at the moment. Thank you again to Malasite for that, who I believe on this forum is known as, on the Twitch chat is known as Kilo Crate for the time being. The 4th card Spain shipped was Native Treaties, which gives you a shipment of native warriors from your native posts. So you went 3 vil, ATP, 700 wood, and then native warriors. Alright guys, welcome back. Spawning into game number 4 on the Wadmalau. A very mirrored map. Map with 3 train posts in the middle, as well as a winding sea which wraps around the entire island. Oliveza moving his canoe straight off the mark to the north side of the map. This feels to be a very specific move Oliveza wants to do, and I think Oliveza wants to try and pick up the cows from Stanley's islands already. It feels weird moving this canoe to the north side straight away. You do have treasures on the south to pick up. A black bear, a Cherokee rifleman, 3 black bears could be picked up, as well as a cougars down to the south side, and that canoe could do some good work down south side treasure gathering. 90 XP guarded by 2 outlaws. Oliveza cracking one off, and will be taking the other one down so far. What does Oliveza want to do with his canoe so far? Is he trying to win this fight? But he's losing that canoe, and he's just lost that fight versus Stanley Winston. And I guess it's a case of whoever fights first wins. But now losing your only water transport for the time being feels really awkward. Maybe that's what he wanted to try and do, is try and force that fight and just try and catch Stanley's canoe idle. Especially if it was... I got it. This play would have worked if Stanley was fishing. As you can see, the canoe was not fishing, so it was idle and ready to attack. And as soon as Oliveza went into range, that canoe attacked the Oliveza's canoe. But if it was Stanley Winston's canoe was fishing, Oliveza could walk up and get that first attack off because Stanley's boat was fishing and not actually attacking. Or wouldn't mean attacking to start off with. So an interesting play from Oliveza. I like the decision. It just didn't work out this time, and that's really unfortunate. Check both the islands. Cows and berries spawning for both players. Hazard's wood treasure is on the North Island. Interesting place that's treasure to spawn. And conversely, the South Island's also fine for resources. Only 30 food treasure being stored there. Most of these maps are very symmetrical resource placements. This map, not Tuparo specifically, but also Lumarco. Stanley Winston saying cute, and maybe Stanley is just thinking of saying cute because he doesn't mind about the map balance or resources. He's just going to be aggressive as Aztec and push in. And let's look at Stanley's deck and see, what options has he got. Water Dance in his deck, nice addition, but no canoes in the 3rd or 4th age. And in the 4th age, you can be sending those strong Talok canoes. I think there's a 2 Talok canoe shipment in the 3rd age, or maybe it's just 3, but they're very, very strong. No fencing school in the 2nd age, but does have 3 warrior priests. Stanley's army is growing in size, picking up 70 wood, as well as 140 coin as well. Wow! That's a big treasure early on from Stanley Winston. Oliveza 70 food and another 70 food, so 140 food for Oliveza, 140 coin for Stanley, as well as 70 wood. Oliveza does have extra bit of XP as well, but so does Stanley with his in-base fire pit and warrior priest. And a wall immediately being thrown down from Oliveza here. Governor age up from Oliveza. Standard defensive politician to age up, 200 coin and the outpost wagon. Stanley Winston looking to be age up with the shaman. Shaman is in queue right now. 2 war huts will be pushing across the map and will be dropped right about here, maybe a little bit forwards and in the center of these 2 trading posts. But I think Stanley Winston will be trying to go for map control. And also taking the furthest train post first, which I really like, because those war huts will be spawning in the middle. Units nearby will be able to deal with these train posts. But if Oliveza captured this train post for himself, it'd be a bit of a hassle to deal with as the Aztecs. So nice play from Stanley picking up that train post first. Going for the 2nd TP, but those shaman war huts will be pushing across the map and be looking to put Oliveza under pain. And Stanley Winston, please tell me you scouted this. I think he scouted it and now running back. I don't think he wants to lose this canoe just yet, because he needs it for his own island. But scouting out to this dock from Oliveza just gives Stanley so much heads up and just so much extra information. He feels like he's safe to go for the 3 TP. Those war huts will be pushing across the map. And now that he knows that Oliveza is going water, these war huts are actually going to sit themselves right on the coast instead of mid-map. This would be a great time to look at Oliveza's deck, even going for a double wall here. I don't think this first wall is fully completed. There's a few holes in places. The second wall is also a bit skeptical in places, but it looks tight, relatively tight. But a few holes here and there is actually pretty good to try and bug some of the enemy's units in, but not their entire army. So nice for Oliveza's gone for a doubled layer wall here to defend. Right, Oliveza's deck. Let's have a look. Standard eco cards, 2nd age, but we do have fish market schooners, whale oil. I feel as the British civilization, it's very hard to squeeze in rendering plans, and the fish market is very, very close to what rendering plans offers, but is only 5% less for food and gold, but still essentially the same shipments, and that way you can squeeze in another 2nd age shipment like the 2 caravel and improved warships. 7 whales on its map though, so whale oil might be a very powerful card to send in the later parts of the game if Oliveza manages to get full map control on the water. Interesting how Oliveza does have schooners available as a card to send, but looks like he's going to go for 700 wood, 600 wood first, and Stanley Winston, 700 wood, 600 wood. Going double dock here, but I'm not sure if Stanley's going to go for dock eco or dock offensive. You do have the train posts. This could be upgraded to stagecoach very, very soon. Double war hut available for military production, but it's also being used for map control. And it's not a fishing boat. It's a canoeing queue. That went to the canoe out on the map already, but we have canoes being made. Stanley Winston could go 3 warrior priest here, warrior priest boom first, and try and get a few extra on the map, and then go water dance. What are you gonna do as the British players? Water eco, but you're gonna have these 20 or 25 of these really strong canoes. Okay, maybe not 20, but a high number of canoes charging their way into your fishing eco, and Oliveza's got high hopes for this. He's even evacuated to the southern islands, dropping another dock down here as well. Not actually building it just yet, was to get Eastern Cow just first, but another dock down here to get a few extra boats out in the water. A dock on the north side could have been actually very nice, just to try and gather some of these extra resources north side, because there's not enough. There's whales down here, but there's not enough food here to really sustain a British player for long. But Stanley Winston, 3 Warrior Priest, 5 Vil, still on. Okay, now just got to tier 2 on the stagecoach, but we'll have so much XP coming in from all that Warrior Dance XP. Going for fishing aggressive. All these canoes being garrisoned into the dock. I like this play. It's kind of hard to scout, but you can kind of guess. You kind of guess it. You're not going to scout fishing boats, are you? You're going to garrison offensive units like these canoes. But Stanley Winston, just imagine if he sends the water dance as the next card. That'd be such a strong timing. And who needs cards like 10 mace, 9 mace, 6 puma if you're going for a water offense? And Stanley's eco 40 pop in terms of population. Okay, water dance just come in. So he's got another ship to send already, and that's really nice from Stanley. He may actually want to go Puma. You probably don't need another shipment at this point. I guess Puma's because you have to, or maybe go 600 coin and try macro for an age up behind this. But Water Dance coming in behind. Save the Water Dance until you actually need it, because it does show up on the UI. But we're going to see a boat push here from Stanley Winston out on the water. And it feels like this is a build all of it. Stanley Winston. Look at these canoes. They were training all this time, but the garrison's in the dock. And another couple of canoes coming out. 24 villagers currently chopping the trees. Is charging in. Canoes 220 HP, 40 siege. But as soon as he's going to get onto these fishing boats, he's just going to go into Water Dance. Now look at these guys. Stanley Winston, 361 HP per canoe, 52 siege attack. These boats going down in 4 hits because they have not got their greatcoats just yet. Greatcoats affecting fishing boats as well. But so much siege from these guys, the docks are going down very, very fast. And only 90 siege damage. That's not even going to 4-shot kill these canoes. You need so many boats in the water, and this play for Stanley Winston, he could even now go for war canoes instead of just normal canoes. Probably a little bit extra range and put some pressure on the actual base. Docks frantically being thrown down. Oliveza, fish market next card, but he needs to go for. He doesn't have the advanced dock or any coastal defences card. Caravels is his only out, but they will get absolutely torn apart by his buffed canoes. Actually, probably longbows are probably the best counter here. Another dock going down. But if Stanley's run out of shipments, he's gone 600 coin twice, but if he has all this wood income, he can just pump even more boats in and could even go for 3 or 4 docks at this point. Like, Stanley is denying Oliveza's eco greatly and putting much pain on forcing this infantry production. But his boat position's a little bit dodgy here. Needs to be moving a little bit around. Canoe coming out from Oliveza. Oliveza now having his own native TP, so both players have access to canoes. But that's the benefits of being a war chief civilization, is these canoes are they're your units. Outpost being frantically thrown up another dock. Oliveza, really good play defense, and wow, I'm impressed by Oliveza with this actually. He didn't panic, he just threw more and more buildings down because he knew that these guys in range damage, only 21, not great versus longbows or villagers, but could just out-spam Stanley at that point. 2 caravels as well to reinforce, and Oliveza is now in a good position. Oliveza's Explorer with 53 HP is about to pick off a villager in his own base. That's kind of cute. And that's going to die. Get wrecked. Water Dance is still in for Stanley Winston, so he's trying his best to take this fight. The canoe is very strong versus these caravels actually, and these guys still having 361 HP. Is it just the Warrior Priest? Yeah, it's just the Warrior Priest on this fire pit. You could actually throw maybe like 5 to 8 villagers on top as well to kind of further boost your units. And when you ran in with 20-25 canoes, I think extra buffs on those canoes could have been more beneficial than trying to sustain that eco behind it. Right, canoe versus longbow fight on the coast, and well, canoe's 50% range resist as well, 360 HP. You know, longbows have a fast fire rate of fire, but I suppose if you have enough canoes, you just have enough stopping power and HP behind to tank. But Stanley Winston up to the Fortress Age. Oliveza will soon be up there himself, going for improved warships. Nice adaptation. He knows this game's going to be won and lost on the water at this point. But Stanley Winston going to the next stage has the access to the Talok canoe, big button from the dock. Will probably want to wait until 20 minutes until he wants to send that. Just imagine if he had any boat shipments in his deck. It'd be very nice to ship, and like, what do you send instead? 1,000 wood, 8 vil. Cherokee settlement could give Stanley Winston extra, Oliveza an extra 4 vils if he's chosen to use that. I think Stanley could have focused on the new docks being built instead of the docks which are currently standing. If the canoes had their ×4 multiplier versus buildings under construction, you could have really curtailed what the Brit player was trying to build, and then after that point you could then clean up the remaining fishing boats. But those fishing boats, they were idled. Picking them off was pretty good, I guess. But Oliveza's now on the water himself, really firmly, and so many towers to defend as well. 100 siege damage these towers do. Canoes from Oliveza, 50 siege attack themselves, 275 HP. That's... Are these actually different units? I don't think these are different units. That's just... Surely it has to be different units. That's improved warships isn't like double attack. It's just plus 25. So I think maybe the native canoes from a trading post is stronger than what Stanley Winston's canoes he's making are. Boost your boats in combat. So it's attack and HP. It's not just one or the other. So I'm confused how. Oh no, yeah, I've just realised it's 40 siege base, and then those 25% is 50. So that water dance isn't the greatest really from Aztec, but it's really good in terms of HP benefit. Siege attack's not the biggest buff, but actually fighting these guys with ship combat. These boats at the moment are weaker for Stanley Winston because he hasn't got his water dance on, and he can't fight that behind this. Now throwing down his own defensive war huts, town centre, native war huts now, as well as the native noble huts from the Aztec player having 100% accuracy on the water, so no more missing their shots now. These guys have trained in the art of ballista tower fire, and will be picking off a few of these boats in the water. A couple canoes, water dance now in for Stanley Winston. A nice defensive hold, town centre providing fire as well as the war huts. These longbows, very low siege attack. I'm hoping for war canoes from Stanley Winston instead of just normal canoes. I think he needs... These guys are useful for harassing, distracting, but I think you need something a bit more steadfast to help your remass here. It's frustrating with the military units. The ships don't counter. I don't think there's a boat. I don't think there's a boat or one. All units maybe. Yeah. We have more canoes out for Oliveza than what Snay has. Jaguars being spawned from town centre, as well as a couple of coyotes reinforcing, and 2 Jags still alive. But you know, Jaguars, they don't do much damage versus longbows. They only have that benefit versus heavy infantry. Frigate being dropped on top of this town centre from Stanley. More canoes reinforcing. No water shipments from Stanley available, and 1,000 woods to that north town centre after 8 vil being shipped. He's going to lose his town centre and the woods and the vils. This is a rough position for Stanley Winston, and Oliveza, possibly the underdog in this matchup, is showing Stanley Winston the water strats and showing the New World Challengers how it is done on the water. And yeah, rest in peace, Wood. Do we see villagers moving forward? Yeah, 5 villagers moving forward to capture the wood. 2 falconets as well, and Oliveza is very wise to stay near the coast with his army. No need to go land, just capture the water, play for the water, and then boom off it at a later point. Right, three caravels in the water. Frigate. We do have iron plating coming in behind for Oliveza. These boats 3,500 HP, and frigates normally have only 2,500, so an extra 2,000 HP in these two units. Very tanky, and more HP is here than the actual damage output of these canoes. Siege tech finally at 61. More villagers thrown onto this war fire pit, but you know that is really buffing the HP, and that HP was needed much earlier than this. War huts have now gone down. There's nothing to kind of deal with these canoes and caravels from the land. Not enough canoes from Stanley Winston. He's losing his only docks. He's hastily throwing another 2 docks back at home, but with no war huts. I think town centre's a bit out of fire of this. I think Oliveza with his British Navy are just going to steam through and take down the Aztecs on the water. It's not often we see a game on the ESOC patches where the land battle is completely ignored in favour for a full-on water fight, and you know, Wad Malau is an interesting map. It's not a high sea resource sea, or okay, it has lots of resources, but the density is very low. They're spread out across the entire map, and you know, you can always have an outpost on the land and control sections of the water. But if you go full sea offense into full sea eco, all that action is going to move onto the water, and caravels, canoes, and frigates from Oliveza engaging. Pulling that frigate back to be behind the canoes. This frigate has much longer range than the canoes, and making good use of this frigate. Falconet's doing lots of work from the land as well. Jaguar Prowler Knights out from Oliveza, cleaning up the pikemen, but actually not really enough here to do anything substantial, and the GG comes in. Oliveza type in GG, Stanley Winston staying silent. Oliveza is jacked confirmed. Yeah, really impressive how he hold that, and let's actually have a quick look.
Yes.
You see, so all those canoes were pushing into the south side, and there were 2 docks here, but each time a dock was going down, another dock was being made. I think it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can kind of see that it kind of cleans up that terrain underneath. So 1, 2, 3, 4 docks went down, but another 2 docks front at the back side, dock at the front. Also, 2 outposts as well to defend. Town centre did fight as well, and a couple of longbows. One para donating $1.12. This is not a test donation. He's rounding up to $8.90, so you've really upset Malasite now. You've ruined his symmetry just for a $1 donation. That is going to be frustrating for Malasite, but not for me though. All donations are greatly appreciated. If anybody's new around here, make sure you go and check out my personal Twitch channel as well and give that a nice follow. In tournament downtimes, I will also be doing some shoutcasting. But in the meantime, though, we've got so many games on the ESOC EPL, but my time is here, and any donations going to the EPL are just funding future tournaments and the current prize pool, so all donations are appreciated. I don't think there's a ship icon here, so I don't think we can really see the shipments, but I don't think there's any kind of water units card here, so I guess it's just going to be the all unit count is going to give us the idea, but that's not really enough. This is where the canoes were going down before Stanley went to the Fortress Age. He kind of ran out of useful shipments and had to send 600 coin twice, but Oliveza, losing buildings but not units, was able to defend buildings. Docks going down, up, and you just see the total building just continuously increased during that push, instead of actually falling away as Stanley Winston would have hoped. All resources would be much favoured for British, population. Well, not much population going on. These are just the warrior priests, and these are longbows. But pushing out on the land as well for Oliveza, I think really, really hurt Stanley because he just lost those war huts. I think that's the only useful information we're going to get out of this one. Shipments much in favour of Stanley due to the 3 TPs, the warrior priest, and at one point was definitely 2 shipments ahead for about most of the game. Right, let's hop out of that one. Oh, Stanley Winston, I think he did say the GG, but I think he needs to resign first and then let it settle for a bit and then say GG, but no, I think Stanley Winston was very keen for the GG there, and it was before I could actually see it because I was still resigning from the game at that point. So Stanley Winston resigned, but then I then default started to resign, and Oliveza eventually won once I had resigned myself.
No.
Killer crate, damn it, 1 power. Final map, Iowa. NWC pick, Stanley Winston to pick.
Yes.
I wonder if Stanley could have, instead of actually going for the water, go for the land. Pushing with just canoes water dance. You know, it didn't have Talok canoes or war canoes, but pushing in with units like Pumas, Puma Mace, mass Puma Mace or Puma Coyote into the British player's base, because Oliveza had focused so much onto the water, but not really much on his actual base defense and on land. You can see he was trying to get longbows up, to fend, but didn't have much on the lands to defend. So maybe he could have pushed a little bit on land, try and get Oliveza to turn his attention away, and then sneak in the water play afterwards. But that initial push with the canoes was actually quite impressive, and it should have worked. It felt like it should have worked, but it just didn't work this time. But I think in other maps where it's more difficult to defend the water, that push would have really worked from the Aztecs there. So good strategy. Certainly keep it in check for another time, but just didn't work out this time. Right, Stanley Winston's to pick. There was a civ reset. Stanley Winston can go for the Ottomans on this map, Iowa. We do see Ottomans get picked quite often, but 3 TP trading route and 4 native TP advanced training posts could be the order of the day. And Oliveza, a very big fan of ATP plays as well as potential revolts. We haven't seen a revolt yet this series, so let's get that revolt hype going in the chat and egg Oliveza on for revolt play.
Yes.
German's being picked by Stanley Winston. Is Stanley Winston still gracing the chat? Obviously, he hopped in for a bit just to check out the build and hop back out. B winner. Stanley is a bad guy. He goes 5-0 versus me and then proceeds to lose to everyone to increase the humiliation. Like, what? Oh, humiliating B winner even more. That's quite funny. Currently 3-1 to Oliveza. So he's taking the lead, and I actually thought this was a Stanley Winston favoured matchup here. Maybe gone 3-2 versus Oliveza. But Oliveza holding his own. I'm sure the Bigs would be very, very happy with that performance so far. And Brooke letting us know in the chat, currently the Bigs leads in the New World Challengers 11-8, with only one more series to play, and that's between the big boys, Samwise taking on Diaruga tomorrow. And I think that's going to kick off tomorrow's stream as well. Want to say it's around 1 GMT or 12 GMT, nice and early, so kind of like a mid-afternoon game for us in the Europeans. Maybe a little early for Americans. Could be a nice breakfast view time.
Yes.
We're gonna have a German into Spanish on Iowa, and I'm sure Stanley Winston's gonna think, "Oh, really? Do you really have to pick the Spanish to counter-pick my Germans?" And I think I don't want to say it's a bad matchup for Germany, but it's awkward, especially when you have the Spanish player running around with lots of fast, heavy infantry units like the pikemen and the rodoleros. Right, good luck, have fun. Final game on Iowa. Yes. Let's go. Alright guys, welcome back. We're on the final game between Oliveza and Stanley Winston. The score currently right now is 3-1 to Oliveza. He did manage to win the last game on Wadmalau, playing as the British, and had a very impressive water defense versus Stanley Winston's. It felt like an all-in water play. Like, that was his strat, and once he lost all his canoes, he was on the back foot trying to remass, but that British Navy treating history very kind and overpowering the natives in this situation. Final map, Iowa. Spain versus Germany. Stanley Winston picking the Germans into Iowa's first pick, spawning to the south side in colour red. His opponent Oliveza will be playing as the Spanish into the north side. Stanley Winston looking around for some treasures. No early trading post for either player because it was a coin start, and Oliveza would actually probably be very happy with that because, okay, it wasn't a wood start, but if you were going for ATP, you could have a opportunity to go for and steal every single trading post away from the German player, but most likely should be able to get a 2-1 advantage over Germany, as well as all the other native TPs that you do get. Map is very balanced for both players, identical spawns, and it's a very symmetric feel, kind of a mirrored symmetric across the middle trading post line. Dog picking up the black bear and some nice food coming in for Oliveza. I'm sure he would enjoy that maple syrup very much so. Oliveza scouts this treasure. He scouted this treasure from the line of sight, and a 90 food treasure. Wow. 2 black bears, that's one of the best. That's probably the best treasure on the map, really, in terms of benefits versus how takeable it is. But also having 80 food already. You know, Stanley Winston has a Native American warrior, but you have dogs. You can train more dogs. The Native warrior isn't much of an issue. But at this point, a 90 food, 80 food as well, 170 extra food. Oliveza will be storming his way to the second stage, but the faster you click the age up button, the more wood you can chop, the more chances you can get for a full TP control as the Spanish if you're going for advanced trading post. Stanley Winston keeping that Iroquois Tomahawk here on this trading post just to try and keep the line of sight. But this Tomahawk nerf damage, I think, versus Explorer type units. This might count as a Explorer unit, but that Eero has just got absolutely wrecked by Loco, the pet dog, and I'm not too sure if this was intentional or unintentional, but I think that should have. I think that Eero Tomahawk should have knocked Loco out, but certainly very close. It was, you know, a first stage Nilla Tomahawk in hand combat. A bit of supporting fire from Oliveza here, but look at this. One Vil left side. Is he gonna go for another Vil right side? I don't think he is just yet. Just enough wood right now to go for advanced train post. German player going right side. And actually, the German player's gone to the opposite side where that dog was. You could have predicted this really as Oliveza. Actually, I think it's hard. It's just what it is. But that dog has now seen where this explorer is, and will get picked off. And Oliveza will have to take a 2-1 trading post lead into the next age. I would really like this Incan settlement to go to Oliveza next and get maybe 2 or 3 Incan Humincas out in the field as well. Real strong spearmen, especially playing versus Germany, getting a few Ulans out in the field. Useful for pressuring, force those Ulans back, or maybe defending as well. But we do see Oliveza going to go for this Incan settlement. Stanley maybe wanting just a scout, but TP going to go down for Oliveza. But is he going to siege it or not? I don't know. Outpost right on top of Stanley Winston's trading post, and this is some BM from Oliveza. He's letting Stanley know that he's coming for that trading post, whether he likes it or not. And after sending ATP his second card, he's going to get some Incan Huamincas behind this as well, and that should be a really good. Yeah, this Incan settlement, good choice, because the spearmen for the Incan can come out onto this trading post nice and early. Knowing Oliveza, he might have that Native Treaties card again. I think this is the same deck as last time, outing on Tuparo actually, so could still see a 700 wood Native Treaties, 7 rods, 5 Vil card order like he did last time. He's not going for another. Okay, he's going for another training post, but I think Native Treaties might come in a bit fast for that. You do have that. You do have that outpost out in the field already. Could go for 8 pikes first card just to tear down this trading post and make use of those high siege units. Native Scout in the deck, in base. Don't want to lose this guy. And the Hulans are just chasing the Scout away, and I think that Scout is going to go. And 8 pikemen's first card from Oliveza is going to be tearing down that trading post. Stanley Winston, 700 wood first. No military building just yet. Okay, barracks forward. Let's see what Stanley's planning to go. He's going DOPS. Nice. Actually, I actually think that's a good choice here. DOPS will deal lots of damage versus all the pikemen, Rodaleros, Incan Huamincas, and the Cheyenne guys as well, the Cheyenne riders. Incan Bolus could do pretty well. I think you get more Bolus and Spearmen than you ought to from that Native Treaties, but Doppelsonders, hard to deal with at the moment, and these Doppelsonders are going to take this TP down. Stanley needs to focus down his Doppelsonders now with the trading post instead. Native Treaties incoming, and he does get the batch of the Cheyenne Riders. Oh, it's the Lakota, of course. It's the Lakota on the map. Lakota Axe Riders, Incan Bolus, 1460 cost. 2 of these at 120, so that's 500 resources worth just from Incan alone. That is really strong. Lakota's just 3 horsemans, but these guys 150, so 450, 500. That's nearly 1,000 resource shipment from Oliveza, and no wonder it felt so strong last time out in Tuparo. And those Bolus warriors and the dogs, enough to scare away those Doppelsonders from Stanley Winston. I like this play. This is so smart from Oliveza. He's thought about what he's seen. He's seen the Doppelsonders and he's reacted it perfectly. He hasn't got a barracks in place, so he can't go for musketeers or crossbows, but he does have Bolus warriors, and these are essentially skirmishers. 8 Now range attack 10 with double multiplier versus doppelstunners with an area of attack, 200 HP as well. These guys, really good units, countering these doppelstunners pretty hard and separating the pikeman from his other army. Oliveza is going to be tearing down a few houses and is going to say to his German opponents, engage me now and face the bonus warriors, or lose your base, or lose houses. And Stanley's no more wood. He does have population spare, but for him to get extra houses at this point would be a bit awkward. And just 2 houses going down from Oliveza quite cheaply. And at the moment, Oliveza is bullying Stanley Winston in the final game. Okay, Lakota's getting picked off here. High HP units, low attack. Waiting for those crossbows, but we'll get caught off. Bit of a shame there for Oliveza, but so far he's picked off a lot. This settler wagon's in a very precarious position. This settler is in a very weird position as well, and that barracks is going to get torn down from Oliveza. And I think after taking those barracks, I think Oliveza is in a good place to age up afterwards. But maybe just like the last game, he's going to commit to the second age here, because Germany doesn't want to be in the second age. I suppose Germany wants to really go to the third age themselves, but I guess you can age if you're being pressured by the Spanish army, and this is a very large mass coming in. Double barracks now being thrown down off that 600 wood, and that is the shipment he needed for that infrastructure. 7 Rodoleros coming in afterwards, but 2 musketeers in queue. All these stagecoaches are on coin, it looks like, for that resource income. But it's a bit of a skirmish down, trying to siege this barracks. But he sees the amount of crossbowmen out for Stanley Winston, and I'm not sure what Stanley's plan is. It looks like Oliveza has a plan. It looks like Stanley is just trying to react. And I suppose that's all he can really do versus like a build order from Oliveza, which is quite hard to deny initially. And now it's rolling. It's just lots of steam coming in. Lots of crossbow dogs, pikemen moving in. But Rodoleros, the Doppelstunners, very strong in hand combat versus other infantry units, but these Uhlans getting wrecked straight away. Bolus focusing down these Doppelstunners. A couple of musketeers out in the field now. If they can trade off these Rodoleros to the Doppelstunners, there's so much resources invested into these heavy infantry units from the German player. This could be a good trade, but the military unit population is not looking good. Not including the Incan units though at the moment. Quite a few of these Doppels have gone down actually. It's about 5 remaining, and they're now on top of the musketeers. Double batch of 4 musketeer reinforcing, 8 more musketeers, and his Doppelstunners are going to absolutely drop. And I think Oliveza's now firmly in the lead again. Stanley Winston, single barracks producing crossbows. Another 5 crossbow pop out here. He does have the barracks in the back of his base as well, but this barracks is out of position, will get taken down possibly. Yeah, crossbows popping on top of the England boluses, and that's brave. These guys, high HP and the kind of area of effect damage. Crossbowman's taking a bit of damage there. $700 coin now comes in for Oliveza, but knowing Oliveza, he's gone for a stable somewhere. That's how he clinched out the Aero game, was to kind of drop a stable and mass hussars off that coin shipment. But actually, with his macro, it looks like Oliveza can go to the third age and is safely so at the moment. Eco is looking tied, but XP so much for Spain, as well as the eco from the trading route. And nope, 12 muskets in queue. He's not aging. He can smell that he's ahead, and forcing German player to stage 2 is not what he wants. And 3 doppel shipment from Stanley, and that's just an awkward shipment to send in the face of all his musketeers. Slow, heavy infantry get picked off, but easy to focus down. This reinforcing stream of bolus warriors, and Oliveza surely now must be going to the Fortress Age, unless that's just poor macro from his part. But Fortress Age and pushing out with a bigger military, 50 points, 40 score up at this point. Okay, Fortress Age coming in now, and a 5 Lancer shipments from Oliveza and a batch of Lancers from a stable will be enough to win the game, I believe, at this point, if we don't see a resignation sooner from Stanley. More musks coming in. That was the last 2 of that 12 batch, but actually we'll still scout these 3 doppels, and that musketeer going down. It actually kind of paid itself off, really, just that scouting information. My opponent's got mass crossbow, only a few heavy infantry, and we're going to the third age. Stable thrown down, and Looks like Oliveza's thinking what I'm thinking. I'm thinking what he's thinking. Stanley Winston doesn't know what to think of at the moment. Oliveza's going for this Incan as well, and will have the entire trading posts of the map under his control, and that is also a sign of dominance. The German player always likes to get a trading post themselves for the XP. They need the XP. They're pretty slow in experience shipments. But Stanley Winston, he's committed to the second age. 700 coin being gathered up, but being funded straight into Doppel production. Lots of vills on this wood. Trying to herd back in another hunt left side. Still have the hunt right, but 5 musks guarding. But here we go. Ulan's trying to get ahead and see what's going on, but this large match of crossbowmen is respectable, but it's German crossbows in the second age. And does Stanley Winston have his age 4 crossbowman HP plus 60%? No, he does not. Looks like those improved crossbowmen for the Germans are not going to make an outing today. Rod's moving a little bit forwards. Don't know what the Rods want to do at the moment. Probably try and go for a raid on the villagers, but getting caught off by the crossbowmen's units in queue. 1 Hussar. 1 Hussar in queue. I'm hoping these are Lancers actually, but I suppose tanky Hussars, they kind of fulfill the same role. And you could train them during transition. Could actually go macro straight for an industrial, but he's got lots on coin. Does he have a mercenary shipment? He has 12 pikes. Pikemen here, not necessarily that useful, but 12 Swiss pikes on top of your large army already. Might as well go for it, sure. Knock yourself out, mate. That'd be fun to see. 12 Swiss pikes taking on the German Doppelschodners of a German and Swiss face-off. 1,000 wood coming in from Oliveza though, and if this is not going for like buildings and upgrades, that is the wood he needs for a revolt. It's most of his villagers on food gathering, and Oliveza's just running Stanley around, not even actually taking that engagement, stacking so many res, and the power play is still yet to come from Oliveza. This is what I like about this gameplay so much at the moment. It's Oliveza now about to click up to the industrial age and will soon be in a position to revolt. Industrial age incoming from Oliveza. The German army is on retreat. Big raids as well. Like Stanley Winston out on the field trying to gather the hunts. Coin mines, not much coin in them as well. And this is as one-sided as it gets, unfortunately, and that's just Oliveza playing the Spanish so well. He's worked out a good build. He's got that build down. He has a plan. He's executed it very well, and as a result, he's in just such a good position. And you can see Oliveza trying to back out now. He knows that he could engage now, lose the army, revolt, still win, but he could just back out, revolt, and push in with an absolutely huge army and crush it and win with style. And that's what we're looking to see from Oliveza, is he going to win with style, or is he just going to win? Hopefully the revolt can happen before Stanley resigns, and I feel very sorry to be very black and blue about this situation, but what do you do versus Imperial Hussars if you've already got 4 Hussars out in the field, 5 Hussars in queue as well from Oliveza, so already up to a 19 Imperial Hussar revolt. Oliveza could ship himself another 2 Hussars, probably 2 heavy cannons would be much more beneficial in this situation, but he could just save that shipment for 16 Colonial Militia once that revolt's happened. I would really like to see veteran musketeers though. I know you're in a good leading position, you're about to have Imperial Hussars, but veteran musketeers, little to no excuse to not get this unit at the moment. So many musketeers, and they trade well with pikemen, doppels, and reasonably well versus crossbowmen as well. But a couple of Hussars moving to the south side to try and push. Stanley's going to stay in the game as long as possible. He's currently aging up. Shipment in queue. Stanley's thinking, if I can just hold out and send a couple of shipments, I could be able to push out and take in. But Stanley's coin mines on the right hand side. He needs to push out for those coin mines, but that's exactly what Oliveza wants you to do, is push out with those coin mines. Going Falconets instead of 5 Lancers on the age up. In this situation, 5 Lancers also fine. Falconets will take a long time to cross the map. 2 heavy cannons first card, and the revolt comes in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see lots of CM, about 36 CM population pushing across, but where are those Imperial Hussars? They're joining with the army, and the music wouldn't play even if I had it on, but you can go onto YouTube now and type in revolution music and kind of entertain yourself while we watch the Spanish army, or now should I say the Chileans, pushing out across the map. It's not Texans, this is the Chile flag. But Hussars leading the charge. That colonial army still worth its value, but these colonial militia 2 times the multiplier versus cavalry, and that includes the war wagons which Stanley sent, and this is not going to be even remotely close. So if you enjoy bloodsheds, you're about to be in for a treat. Imperial Hussars flanking left side, cutting off any reinforcements. More Hussars moving to the right side. Oliveza wants to surround his opponent and come in for that final kill. War Dogs leading the charge. Cannon starting to unpack. They're going to take down the town centre if this army is not going to engage. Okay, Hussars moving left side. Lots of pikemen though. Don't want to get too overextensive with the Hussars. You can easily replace these guys. I suppose you do have the stagecoach line, but now the militia's in close. Cannons are unpacked. Heavy cannons now fighting. Imperial Hussars going down right side, but many Hussars left side. Veteran Doppels, the units you need versus Hussars, but there's just so many of these strong colonial militias and regular musketeers here. And let alone when you even start the cannons, Oliveza pulling back Hussars on both flanks at the moment, keeping his one-time use units alive for longer. Vilpool from Stanley Winston going out to punch down the heavy cannon, but news flash for you, Stanley. These guys have 500 HP. Villagers are not going to take these guys down. Hussars on top of the crossbow mass. Warwagon's gone down, and it looks like the entire army is now turning its attention towards the settlers. Gigi's been caught, and and Stanley Winston has typed GG and wished his opponent well. Oliveza revolting as the Spanish on Iowa, taking up a 4-1 victory for the Bigs. And so that was a very nice final lap parade from Oliveza to soak up the applause from the people in the chat and take a 4-1 victory for the Bigs.
Yes.
Disappointing from Stanley Winston. I think Stanley Winston would have hoped for a better result versus Oliveza, but Oliveza so well drilled for the Spain, and this build order, guys, take a note of this build order: 3 vills, ATP, 700 wood, either native treaties or the 7 rods, 8 pikemen, but a unit shipments, 600 wood, another shipment, vills, and then coin crates to age up, because you get the units out in the field. Map control of the ATP, 600 wood for the infrastructure, double musketeer production on the better eco, another unit shipment to reinforce, 5 vills for the better eco and stronger revolt purpose, but then 700 coin, 600 coin, 1k wood was the resources Oliveza needed to jump to the 4th age and get that imperial, get that revolt off and get access to all these Hussars. And he trained Hussars on the side as well, so he pushed in with 19 imperial Hussars. The only thing remaining for Oliveza here is I can't see it now, but whether he had an unction card or not. He could have waited for even more unction donkeys and pushed in with unction Hussars, unction cannons, and unction militia, but he knew he was ahead, and when you revolted, you don't want to give your opponent time, and Stanley Winston just crumbled. He did his best, but there's just nothing much for him left to do there, so very well played for Oliveza that game. Well played for Stanley in the series as well. That Wad Malau, good build order. Didn't quite work off, as well as picking up his own victory when he needed to, but Oliveza 4-1, very mightily happy with that there. The revolt happens and the populations fall away. Quite a lot of units actually do go down for Oliveza, probably more than he could have, but when you're in such a leading position, that doesn't matter too much, and he was very happy with that ending result. Look at this train post line. Early TP for Oliveza, but quickly up to 6 TPs, and Stanley Winston had 1 for a brief amount of time, but that was about it. And the power of ATP on the ESOC patch, some say it's too strong, some say it's just making the best use of a card which has already existed. Maybe the XP from the natives is a little strong at the moment, but you need something to compensate for 0 TP maps, and that's why we've been played on maps with train posts so far.